Welcome everybody. Welcome to webinar of University of Toronto and Braemar College. Good evening from Bangladesh. Yeah, good evening. Good morning from Toronto. Thank you everybody for joining us. We will start our presentation right now. Let me share my screen. So the short agenda for today. Today we're going to have a short presentation by Braemar College. Then we will have one of our graded to speak, Max. He is going to join us today. And then we're going to invite Natasha, Assistant of Director of International Student Recruitment in the University of Toronto. And after that, we're going to answer your questions. So please prepare your questions. You can send them in the chat and make sure you write the name of the person you're addressing it to. So, Braemar College, this is a high school located in very center of Toronto, just across the street from the University of Toronto. We were founded in 1995. We are co-ed school, and we have usually over 400 students in general. Majority of our students are international, and we are welcoming students from more than 30 countries from all over the world. So over here, you can see the beautiful campus of Braemar College. Currently, we are sharing this building with University of Toronto. So on the second floor of our school, we have University of Toronto offices, and Braemar College is located on the first, third, fourth, and fifth floors. Very conveniently located, just a few minutes from streetcar stop and six minutes walk from subway. And everything is around Braemar College. So there is University of Toronto Athletic Center, Kensington Market, Royal Conservatory Museum, and Art Gallery of Ontario, and many more. Historically, it happened that the majority of our students are going to University of Toronto. So during last 12 years, over 37% of students our graduates went to University of Toronto. We have also partnerships with the University of Waterloo, Ryerson University, and York University. Many students are joining Braemar College in order to get Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So our system works the way that if you're coming from abroad, all your equivalents, all your transcripts and grades will be transferred into Canadian system. So let's say if you finished grade 10, it means you're going to go to grade 11 unless you need to get some extra English. And in total, you need to get 30 credits. We have very flexible start dates. We start 5 times a year. So it's September, November, February, April, and July. In fact, our term 3 will start on February the 3rd. So if you have any students who would like to join for February, please feel free to send the application. Sorry, somebody is not muted. Feel free to send the application, and you can start online right away. And you can join once you have your study permit. So you're not going to waste time. So over here, there is a student, Kinsley, who completed his O-level in Nigeria. O-level, this would be equivalent of grade 11 in any other country, about grade 11. He came to us and his English was grade 12 and his math was grade 11, and he had to take only 7 courses with us. So he started in September, he graduated in June, and he was able to start a computer science program in September 2019. It was last year's student. So that's really convenient, I think. We have various thematic pathways, for instance, science and technology, business pathways, humanities, art and design, nursing, and many more. So the timetable of the students would be adjusted according to the needs. Let's say if you are going to science and technology program in any university, over here you can see the subjects you most likely going to be offered. If you're going to any other programs, you may need less subjects, specific subjects, but you may take more elective courses and so on. We have a very hardworking guidance team who are working Braemar College, so students may come to them, see them anytime, or at the moment they all the time have online meetings and answer all the questions they have about their study plans. So as I told you, the majority of our students are international. So when they come to Canada, they have to live somewhere. We have a wonderful homestay program. We are working with more than 400 homestay families. And all those homestay families were visited by our homestay coordinator. So once you apply, and just before your arrival, we would send you a few profiles for the homestay. You pick the best choice, and then you join the homestay family. So what does it give you? That you will have round-the-clock security and supervision, and of course, you're gonna gain valuable cultural experience. In addition to studying, we have many activities and programs for the students. So once they arrive, or once you start the courses, we have orientation. We also have the orientation from our homestay department, how to behave in homestay, what to expect. And we have various student clubs such as mindfulness, nutrition, athletics. We invite many guest speakers. Our students also receiving community service for any work they do, and we have artists in residence and writing in residence. Currently, we have 3 programs running. So one is live streaming. Live streaming program is for the students who they can study anywhere else. At the moment, everybody uses this program because we study online until February 10th. And also, we have an individual program. They can study anytime. You are not connected to any time in Toronto, so it's individual studying mainly. And of course, our in-person program that we hope we will continue after February 10th. Finally, the University of Toronto. It was established in 1827. The University of Toronto is Canada's most important research institution. It's #1 in Canada, and in 2020 it was recognized number 18th in the world according to Times Higher Education World University Ranking. And the best part that the top graduate from Braemar College would receive the scholarship from University of Toronto in the amount 5,000 Canadian dollars, reward of excellence. So thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have Maxime here? Maxime, are you here? Let me just hold on a second. Max, are you here?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Oh, I don't have camera right now.
That's okay. That's fine.
So,
thank you for joining us anyway. We know you're really busy. Max, if you could share with us briefly about your experience in Braemar College. How was your entrance to university? How was your studying in university? And what do you do now?
Okay, so I came to Braemar College in 2011. And I came with a specific goal to enrolled to the University of Toronto after I graduated. So in 2012, I enrolled into the U of T at the major in chemical engineering. Later on, I also decided to take a business minor. So I graduated with 2 diplomas, major in chemical engineering and minor in business. So, and then I started working as a chemical engineer. So now I work as a chemical engineer, and I also overtake some business responsibilities in the company, such as business development. I mean, the experiences in Braemar College was really good. And I would say that I was adequately prepared for the first year in the University of Toronto, especially in the math, which was very important for the engineering discipline. A couple of my classmates also got into the U of T engineering, and I know that they've done quite well too. So in the university, and yeah.
Okay, Max, another question. Just one question. So did you know when you came to Braemar College, did you know where you're going to study and what you will study?
I didn't know what I will study, but I knew that I was planning to study like engineering in University of Toronto. Later on, I found out that there is also other universities. I applied to all of them. I got accepted to all of them, but I still chose University of Toronto because that was my initial goal. And mostly for the reasons you described before, the world-known university, that it is very well recognized. I can say that I've seen it in the industry now that it is a quite well-known brand in Canada and worldwide. And it has a strong engineering school, which I was looking for. And it has a very strong business school, which I was also looking for. So it was a good choice for me.
Okay, thank you very much, Maxim. I was recently in touch with some of our graduates as well. So one of them is working in California now at Tesla, and another one is working in Croatia, and so it's just impressive what experience the University of Toronto has to offer. So Natasha, thank you very much, Max. Natasha, you're welcome.
Thank you. Max, I'm glad to hear that we were your top choice, that we were your main choice for post-secondary studies. You can do my job for me. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me to be a part of your session today. My name is Natasha Bijelich. I'm the Assistant Director of International Student Recruitment at the University of Toronto. I've had the pleasure of recruiting for the university around the world for the last 15 years or so. And for the most recent few years, I've been working closely with Braemar and their partners to talk about the pathway programs and to talk about the University of Toronto as a potential option for Braemar College students. So thanks again for having me. I will just clarify that I do focus primarily on undergraduate programs at the university. So I will talk today about undergraduate studies at the University of Toronto. If you are interested or have questions about graduate programs, master's, PhD programs, you're welcome to contact our School of Graduate Studies directly. And I'm just going to add an email address in the chat. It's graduate.information@utoronto.ca. You're welcome to reach out to them. They have folks like myself that focus on admission and recruitment for master's, PhD programs at the university. So feel free to reach out to them if you have any specific questions about that. But for now, I will start with the University of Toronto. So hopefully everyone can see my screen there. This over here. So when we talk to students about the University of Toronto, there's really 3 things that we focus on for U of T. And we're going to focus on them and not a lot of questions today because I want to make sure that we leave lots of time for questions for everyone. So basically, when we talk to students about the University of Toronto, those 3 things that we want them to know is that U of T is Canada's flagship research university, or Canada's top research university. Max talked a little bit about it, so did Tamara talk a little bit about it as part of the presentation with Braemar. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and what that means for students studying at the university. We're also a unique network of communities in the heart of one of the most dynamic regions of the world, and that's the city of Toronto. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and some of our campuses and communities that we have for students. And my favorite feature, the 3rd point that we want to share with students, which is my favorite, is that U of T students can really mix and match their programs and experiences to build personalized degrees at U of T. So I can guarantee you that there are probably no two students at the University of Toronto that have the exact same experience, which I think is one of the best-selling features of the University of Toronto. So let's go back to that first point, that U of T is Canada's top research university. We're the flagship university of the University of Canada, and we're one of the best universities in the world. And part of that is because we have an incredible reputation for our academics, for faculty, for research. As you can see, we're ranked 18th in the world. That was another ranking that came out most recently, I think late last year, that put us again at 18th in the world, which is, we're quite pleased with that ranking, if I can say so. And what that means, like, really, students should never pick a university based solely on how it ranks in international rankings. There are other factors that they should consider, and we're going to talk about U of T and for some of those. But what it can tell you about the University of Toronto is that you can take a U of T degree anywhere. So degree portability and degree recognition is something that you don't have to worry about with the University of Toronto. In fact, we have over 600,000 living alumni in over 190 different countries and territories around the world. So our graduates do take advantage of that degree portability and stay in Canada, leave Canada, go anywhere in the world after their studies. So we are one of the top universities in Canada, one of the top in the world. We attract the best and brightest academics and students from all over the world to our campuses. Some pretty important things have also happened at the University of Toronto in the over almost 200 years now that we've been an institution. Discovered insulin, and actually this year is the 100th anniversary of the discovery of insulin, and we're celebrating that at the university. We also did the world's first nerve transplant. We developed stem cell research. All of that started at U of T. And those are just a few of the examples of the discovery and innovation that's happened at the University of Toronto. We've also produced Academy Award or Oscar winners, Olympic athletes, prime ministers, Nobel laureates, and award-winning authors like Malcolm Gladwell and Margaret Atwood. So we've got a tremendous legacy, and you and your students can certainly be a part of that when they're looking at the University of Toronto. So the second point that we like to talk about for U of T is that we are that network of unique communities in the heart of one of the most dynamic regions of the world. And key to that is the city of Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area. The city of Toronto is North America's 4th largest city, so we're right behind Mexico City, New York, and LA in terms of population. And everything that you can expect from a big city in North America, you will find in the city of Toronto. There's entertainment, there's nightlife, there's sports in non-COVID world. The city is very alive and there's lots of things going on. It's a really fun place to be a young person. It's also a very safe place to be a young person. We are a very safe city in comparison to other cities across North America. So you can expect some great quality of life when you're here as a young person in the city of Toronto. One of my favorite things about the city of Toronto is the food. Because it is an extremely diverse city. There's over 100 different languages spoken in the city of Toronto. And at the university, for example, we have students coming from over 163 countries around the world. You can find every type of cuisine you want in the city, and you can literally eat your way through the city of Toronto, which I always highly recommend. So if you're ever looking for restaurant recommendations, I can help you with that as well. Now, with the University of Toronto, we were actually founded back in 1827. In fact, we're older than the city of Toronto. We're older than Canada as a country. So we've been around a long time. And we and our campus are one of the most historic parts of the city of Toronto and considered a landmark in the city with some really beautiful buildings like this building here on our main campus. We are also the largest university in Canada, which means that students have a lot of choice at U of T. In terms of student population at U of T, we have just over 90,000 students total at the University of Toronto, which is quite large. Most important thing to remember for undergraduate students at U of T is that there are never 90,000 students in one place. So at the university, we take that big number and we break it into smaller communities. And the first way we do that is through our campuses. Students looking at the University of Toronto when they're applying to the University of Toronto have the option of studying between or on one of our 3 campuses. And you get to make that choice based on the kind of experience that you're looking for, the campus life that you're looking for, maybe the type of program that a student is looking for. So all 3 campuses offer very different environments to students, and they're all within 1 hour of each other within the Greater Toronto Area. So when a student is studying at one of our campuses, they can stay on that campus, or they can even take an elective at a different campus and move between the 2. But for the most part, they're going to apply to and study on a particular campus. And we'll talk a little bit about what each of these 3 campuses look like. Most important thing to remember, again, also with these three campuses, is that ultimately when you graduate from the University of Toronto, you are graduating from the University of Toronto. You're not graduating from U of T St. George or U of T Mississauga or U of T Scarborough. You are graduating from U of T. And when it comes to the campuses, it's all about what is the best fit for a student. Because really anything you could imagine, any kinds of services or quality of education that you will find at the 18th best university in the world, you will find across all three of our campuses. And it's more about what is the best fit for you as a student. So we'll start with our first campus, which is the U of T Mississauga campus. It's the most western campus of the University of Toronto. It's located in the city of Mississauga, which is the city immediately to the west of the city of Toronto. And this campus is considered in Canada a mid-sized university campus. So we have about 15,000 undergraduate students that study at U of T Mississauga. The campus itself is about 225 acres of green space, and it is a self-contained campus. So when you drive into the campus, most of the campus buildings are within what we call our ring road of campus. And when you're on the U of T Mississauga campus, everything that you could need, whether it's residence, any of the activities, classroom space, social activities, all of that will happen within the campus boundaries, can happen within the campus boundaries. So it is considered a self-contained campus within the university. And it is a very beautiful, very green park-like campus. With the U of T St. George campus, this is the original founding campus of the University of Toronto. This is the one that is across the street from Braemar College. So it is located right in the heart of downtown Toronto. It's about 100 acres of space right in the middle of the city. The moment you step off campus, you're within a 10 to 15 minute walk of whatever you could potentially need as a student, whether it's entertainment, nightlife, or anything in the city, you're within a 10 to 15 minute walk of it because of its central location. It is the smallest campus at U of T by footprint. It's about 100 acres of space, as I mentioned, but it's our largest by student population. So we have about 35,000 undergraduate students that study at U of T St. George. So it's a very condensed, very compact, very busy campus right in the middle of downtown Toronto. Now, when we talk about U of T, again, we mentioned that we are the largest university, but we have those communities. On the St. George campus, we have extra layers of communities that I'll talk about in just a minute that help break up the campus so you never feel like you're at a university with 35,000 undergraduate students. And to the east, in the east end of the city of Toronto, we have the U of T Scarborough campus. And the U of T Scarborough campus is much more similar to U of T Mississauga than it is to U of T St. George, but it's on even more park space. So we have about 300 acres of park space in something called the Highland Creek Valley in the east end of the city. And on this campus, we also have about 14,000 students. So it's our biggest campus by footprint, but smallest campus by student population. So if you're a student who's looking to be a part of U of T, but want that smaller campus experience, U of T Scarborough and U of T Mississauga are great choices for you. All three campuses, as mentioned, are within about an hour of each other, and they're easily connected. So U of T Mississauga is connected to the St. George campus by a shuttle bus, and U of T Scarborough is connected to the St. George campus in the middle by public transit, which is also very safe, very easy to use in the city of Toronto. So when students are looking at U of T and the different choices that we have across the three campuses, we have, I'm just gonna clear, there we go. We have options for them to study in smaller learning communities. So when you're looking at the three campuses at the University of Toronto, you will be a part of a smaller learning community. And that could be a learning community for the art, science, and business programs we have. It could be for engineering, could be for kinesiology and physical education, could be for architectural and visual studies, could also be for music. So depending on what you're choosing to study, you'll be in a smaller community across the three campuses because of that. Now, when we talk about arts, business, and science programs, these are program options that we have for students across all three of our campuses. So if you're looking to study computer science, if you're looking to study biology, if you're looking to study English or history, these are types of programs that we offer across all three campuses. So when a student is looking at the university, they really have the choice on where they want to study, what kind of campus experience they're looking for. And if you're a student looking on the St. George campus, which is home to the Faculty of Arts and Science, that's the largest faculty that we have at U of T. It's one of the largest in Canada. So of those 35,000 students we have at U of T St. George, around around 27,000 of them are going to be studying in the Faculty of Arts and Science. So again, we never want students to feel like they're one of 27,000 students. So students in the Faculty of Arts and Science on the St. George campus have another layer of community for them to be a part of. And that's the college system. And the colleges offer students every kind of support service, residential activities, housing, social activities, things like that outside of the classroom for that smaller social community base within the larger Faculty of Arts and Science. So it could be even academic counseling that students would get through their college. It's basically their smaller support system within the larger Faculty of Arts and Science. So again, another way that we try and break the university into those smaller communities. Now, once students get to U of T, we want to make sure that they're happy and reaching their full potential. There's lots of ways in which we support students beyond just those smaller communities to achieve this. Things like our academic success centers, learning strategists, peer mentors. We have professors that will have office hours to meet with students on a one-on-one basis. We provide both academic and personal counseling, and as well, most U of T students actually do take advantage of these services, so much so that 91% of our students continue successfully from year 1 to year 2. So our retention rate for students at the University of Toronto is quite high, though you will find many universities across Canada and certainly in the province of Ontario do have quite high retention rates for post-secondary studies. Now, the big question this year is COVID and what is happening around COVID. So one of the other ways that we're supporting students is through remote learning for this year. And so if you want to get a sense of what U of T is doing for students this year, you can take a look at our U Together website, and I will post a link in that chat, or maybe Adam can help me with that. In the chat, it's utoronto.ca/utogether2020. If you want to see how U of T is handling COVID this year, both from the student perspective and the teaching and learning perspective. So that's www.utoronto.ca/utogether2020. And I'll add that in the chat too after if Adam missed that, as I'm speaking quickly here for everyone. So that third point that we want students to know about the University of Toronto, and certainly my favorite point about U of T, is that students can really mix and match their programs and experiences to build their personalized degrees. At the undergraduate level, the University of Toronto has over 700 different program options for students to study. It's one of the best selections, if not the best selection, for post-secondary studies in Canada. We talked a little bit about some of those art, science, and business programs that you'll find across all 3 of our campuses. So again, arts programs at U of T typically represent things like humanities, social sciences, things like journalism, and those are program options that you'll find across all 3 campuses. We also have business programs at the university, and we offer 2 main degree types. We offer Bachelor of Commerce degree programs. We also offer Bachelor of Business Administration programs. Students can choose to do things like finance and economics, they can do marketing, they can do management and accounting, for example, or IT. There's lots of business options within all 3 campuses for students to choose from. And when it comes to the sciences at U of T, we offer science programs across all 3 of our campuses, and we actually publish more scientific research than any other public university in North America. So there's definitely a lot going on in the sciences, and these are typically programs like computer science, life sciences, physical and mathematical sciences, environmental science, things like that. Now, some of the unique program offerings that we have outside of those traditional arts and science programs include programs in engineering. And engineering at the University of Toronto is based on the St. George campus. So when students are looking at studying engineering at U of T, they have one campus choice, and that is the St. George campus. Engineering at U of T St. George has roughly 5,000, just over 5,000 students that are a part of the program. So when you compare to the St. George campus, 35,000 students, there's about 5,000 or just over that in our engineering program specifically. Engineering at U of T, again, is one of the best programs in Canada for engineering. It's one of the best in the world as well. And we have what we call our core 8 programs. If students know exactly the kind of engineering program they want, they can apply to it directly. That includes things like civil, chemical, mechanical, industrial, mineral, material, computer, and electrical. So they can apply to one of those programs, start it in first year, and continue for all 4. For students that are totally undecided, have no idea which type of engineering program they want, they can apply to the Track 1 Undeclared program, which is a general first year in engineering. And then at the end of their first year, they'll jump into their second year of a specific program in one of those core 8. The third and final program we have at U of T engineering is engineering science. This is a very different kind of program in engineering at U of T. Students actually spend 2 foundation years in engineering science. In their final 2 years, they're in a highly specialized program. That includes something like aerospace engineering, nano engineering, biomedical systems engineering. These are very unique, specific programs at the university that incorporate not only the applied sciences, which is traditional engineering, but also theoretical sciences. So a lot of students from NSci actually go on to do their masters and PhDs in engineering and do focus a little bit more on research. The other three program topics or program areas we haven't talked about yet include architectural studies and visual studies, as well as kinesiology and music. Now, all three of these faculties, again, much like engineering, are located on the St. George campus. So if you or you have students that are interested in architecture, kinesiology, or music, these are programs that only exist at U of T St. George, the downtown Toronto campus. With the Daniels Faculty of Architecture, Landscape, and Design, at the undergraduate level, we have our Architectural Studies and Visual Studies programs. For students who are interested in general design or maybe studio art classes, this is a great program for them. It's one of the smallest programs we have at U of T, so around 1,000 students total that are in the Daniels faculty. And it's great preparation if someone is interested ultimately in going into architecture as a profession, maybe even urban planning, interior design, that kind of thing. This program gives really great foundations in design thinking. The kinesiology program at U of T is the study of human movement. This program has opportunities to apply what students learn and get outside of the classroom. For example, we have things like sports practicums, community placements, clinical placements. Graduates from this field will often go on into fields like physical therapy, sports medicine, chiropractics, etc. It's again also much like Daniels and the Daniels faculty, one of the smallest that we have at U of T, so around 1,000 students total that are in the kinesiology program. And the smallest faculty that we have at the University of Toronto, and what should be the smallest faculty at U of T, is our Faculty of Music. This program is a very unique program that offers one-on-one individual studying within the Faculty of Music and the faculty that we have as part of the program. I would also argue there's probably no better place in Canada to study music than downtown Toronto. We are a very musical city, we're a very musical campus, and our students and our faculty are involved in both on-campus and off-campus music events and things throughout the year. So it's a really great place to study within the University of Toronto. Now, when it comes to the programs and the ability to mix and match your degree programs, that comes down to the specific programs of study that we offer, which are those specialists, majors, and minors. These are the things that students will study or will choose, pardon me, at the end of their first year. So if you have a student or you're interested in going into something like humanities, but you're not really sure if it's going to be history or English or political science, that's okay. Students will come in to do a general first year and take whatever classes they're interested in. At the end of their first year, they'll choose between the specialists, majors, and minors. So students can opt to do a specialist in history with a minor in biology. Students could do a double major in math and chemistry. Students could do a major in something like computer science with a double minor in Yiddish and Finnish studies. There's lots of ways that students can combine their degree programs at U of T to really focus on what they're interested in studying. And they have over 10,000 different courses at the university to choose from. So there's a lot of opportunities to mix and match and personalize their degrees. In my time at the University of Toronto, I did a double major in human biology and biological anthropology with a minor in environmental anthropology. I also lived on campus for 3 of my 4 years. I was also a part of 2 student unions. I played intramural sports on campus. I had 2 on-campus jobs. So I really had the opportunity to kind of do what I was interested in at the university. And I can guarantee you there was no other student that had that same experience that I did at the university. Beyond the academics, I hinted to it a little bit already. Some of the other ways that you can personalize your U of T degree come from those extracurricular opportunities. So what can you do outside the classroom? And this is, again, where it's an advantage to go to a large university in Canada, or the largest university in Canada, because there are so many of these opportunities outside the classroom. One of the ones that we like to focus on, particularly for students who would be considered international students, would be work opportunities. And so if you're interested in getting some relevant work experience as part of your degree program, we have co-op programs specifically, for example, at the U of T Scarborough campus, where you can get 2 to 3 4-month paid work terms built into your degree program. We also at the St. George campus have something called the Professional Experience Year, which lets students get a full year of work experience, especially if they're in a program like engineering, which is extremely helpful. But international students are able to work on campus right away in September if you wanted to have an on-campus job, or if you've been in Canada for a little while with your study permit, you are able to work off campus ultimately if you wanted to have a job off campus. And we can help you with that through our career centers across all 3 of our campuses. We also at U of T have a ton of research opportunities. We are a major research institution in Canada and around the world. So we encourage students to get some research experience as part of their undergraduate degree. They can do that just on a volunteer basis, or they can actually do it for credit as part of their academic program, where they replace one of their courses with a research term with a professor that's doing research in an area they're interested in. And those can start as early as second year for students. We also have a lot of opportunities for students to get global. So beyond coming to Toronto and to Braemar and to the University of Toronto, we do encourage students to go abroad beyond that. So we have study abroad programs, we have summer abroad programs. There's lots of ways that students can get that international or even more international experience as part of their undergraduate degrees. And then outside of all of that, we also are a university where students can have fun. If they're interested in just having fun at the university through our student life opportunities, we have almost 1,000 different student clubs, committees, and organizations that they can be a part of. These can be cultural, political, social, just for fun. You name it, there's going to be a club for it at the University of Toronto. We also offer a lot of athletic opportunities for students as well. So if they're interested in playing a sport at U of T and they're maybe playing at a very competitive level, they can be a part of our varsity athletic program. But if they're just interested in having fun and just being active on our campus, we have Canada's largest intramural sports program. And we have over 10,000 students every year that play sports just for fun. And so if a student has never tried ice hockey before, for example, they could try ice hockey. They can continue to play volleyball or soccer, or even try inner tube water polo or ultimate frisbee as part of our intramural sports program. So when students take this opportunity and combine it with their academic programs, again, that's really how they can build that personalized degree at U of T, which, as I said, is my favorite selling feature of the University of Toronto. So that is all I wanted to share about U of T at the moment. I will end the slideshow for me on this side, but then I think we're going to move into a Q&A. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Natasha. That was really informative. We got some questions from our audience. Natasha, could you please let us know about the start dates in University of Toronto?
Sure. So the University of Toronto's academic calendar starts in September, and our academic year ends at the end of April. Within that, we have 2 semesters. So we have our fall-winter semester, which is September to December, and then January to April is our winter term. Sorry, September to December, fall term, January to April is our winter term. So students looking to apply for U of T will enter in September. That is the only intake that we have for undergraduate students. So we don't take students in January, for example. We also don't take students in May, which is the start of our summer term. So students looking to apply would be applying to September of whatever year they're interested in studying.
Thank you, Natasha. And there was also a question about the scholarships for undergraduate students in University of Toronto.
Mm-hmm. So scholarships at U of T, all students are considered for scholarships when they apply to the university. And this is for our merit-based awards. So for students who are looking and are interested in U of T, there's no separate application that they'll need to complete to get those scholarships. I'm going to add a link in the chat to our Awards Explorer if a student wants to take a look at the different options that we have at the undergraduate level, both at admission. We offer scholarships for students at admission. We also offer scholarships for students once they are at U of T. So those are what we call in-course scholarships. But as I said, for international students, they're considered for all of our merit-based awards when they apply to the university, no separate scholarship, or no separate application, pardon me. And the value for those really depends on the campus and the faculty that they've applied to. So each campus and faculty will have a different number of scholarships, different value of scholarships that they're able to offer students. But there's a little bit more information on that Awards Explorer website.
Natasha, there was another question about the nationality mix. I know you're really diverse. Do you have any diagram by any chance so we could send it later to our participants?
Yeah, so we have a website called Quick Facts, and I'll add a link to that in the chat too. That has a bit of a breakdown for last year for where our students are coming from. So I mentioned we have about 163 different countries represented within our undergraduate population. And this website, if you scroll down, the Quick Facts page will give you a bit of a breakdown on where our students are coming from. The kind of top 5 biggest countries for students for the university include China, India, the United States, South Korea, and Hong Kong.
Thank you, Natasha. There was a question for Max. Are you still here with us, Maxim?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. How did Braemar College teachers prepare you for the successfully enrollment in the University of Toronto?
Oh, well, so first of all, there was no specific University of Toronto preparation. It was just a regular high school curriculum. But after I got to my first year in the university, that's only when I figured that I was adequately prepared, when I started taking courses in the university, and I was ready for at least one semester ahead during the first year, especially in math. So the preparation was quite good. And I mean, also Braemar College had all the courses required for you had all the courses needed for the enrollment, because different disciplines require different courses for the acceptance. So engineering had requested 5 out of 6 courses to be specific. So there was calculus, advanced functions, physics, chemistry, and English. And I had an option to take all those courses in a timely manner in Braemar College, so that my application would be ready in time. Tamara, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. So thank you very much, Max. Thank you for replying the question. So there is another question. How helpful is Braemar College, Braemar's SD program, in preparing students for UFT? So overall, this is a program that help students to enter any higher institution, could be college, could be university, and we would make sure that you have all equivalent courses to enter the certain program. So as our graduate just told you, he took all the necessary courses to enter into his chemical engineering program. So it's our job to make sure that your plan corresponds to your needs and to your needs of your institution. Our team of guidance would meet the student in person or online, and they would talk over what does his dreams, what are their interests. They would ask what are their favorite subjects if the student's not sure what they want to study in future. And they would assist you with the university application. So when students apply from Braemar College, they apply as any regular Canadian student. And the deadline actually for September 2021 have already passed. The deadline was on January 15, and all of our graduates have already applied for the desired institutions. So what other questions do we have here? And there is a question probably for Natasha about the requirements for applying for University of Toronto. It's kind of general question, right?
Yeah, sure. So well, I'm going to add a link to something in the chat, which is our undergraduate admission bulletin. It's ideally you would be able to get it in paper form. We haven't printed anything because we haven't been anywhere. So this actually is better viewed, I should also mention, on a computer and not on a mobile device, because it is a PDF document that has a lot of small writing on it. But once you get into that document, you'll see a list of all the requirements for all the different programs. So as Max alluded to, for example, for admission to engineering, we're looking for grade 12 English, calculus, chemistry, physics, and advanced functions. For certain other programs like business, we're looking at English and calculus. And this is all part of the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So these are the courses that we'd be looking at for students to complete from Braemar for admission to our programs. This document also shows the rough or approximate grade ranges that we're looking for students in the OSSD. So if a student's applying to engineering, mid to high 80s, for example, in those 5 courses. If they're applying to computer science, typically in the low 90s or maybe high 80s, depending on the campus. So this is a really handy resource for you when you're talking to students about what they're taking or maybe what they're interested in. And this is something that we would work closely with Braemar on to make sure that students are prepared for admission and are competitive for admission to particular programs at U of T. I see also a question about tuition for the university, and that information is also included in this undergraduate admission bulletin. So for students that are international students or non-Canadian citizens or non-permanent residents of Canada, they are considered international. And for students that were coming into a general arts and science type program this past September, so September 2020, they were looking at about $60,000 Canadian for the year. Plus housing. So if they were living on campus or living away from home, that would be an additional cost, but about 60,000 Canadian for their studies for 1 year. Typically, those are due in full at the start of the academic year. So when a student enrolls in their courses, after that, we assess their tuition fees, and that usually happens around July and August, and then we would ask students to pay their fees in full before September when they start their studies. Sometimes the housing costs, if the student is living on campus, sometimes those fees can be paid in installments, but typically tuition is due in full at the start of the school year.
Okay, thank you very much, Natasha. Any other questions? It's for you. Is it relatively easy for an undergraduate student to find research with no past experience? And does the university prepare you well for those who want to go to medical school? Thanks. From Maria.
Yeah, we are a research intensive institution, and we really encourage students to be a part of that research. Sometimes students in first year might find it a little bit difficult just because they are brand new to the university process. And university level studies, that they may not be able to get into a research position or to volunteer in a lab at the start of their first year. Typically students may be in their second semester of first year or in the summer between first and second year if they're staying in Toronto is typically more likely when a student might get a research position. A lot of the times they are volunteer based, they may not be paid. Sometimes they are paid depending on the lab or the professor the student is working with, depending on the funding that they have for their programs. But we do really encourage it for students. And again, that research opportunity program that I mentioned, which is where students can get actual academic credit for doing research at U of T, starts as early as the second year. And students can continue that from second year into third year and into fourth year as well. So we really encourage students to be a part of the research process at the university. The most important thing, I think, would be to put the onus back on the student. So if the student is interested in doing research at U of T, it's up to them to approach a professor or a department or a lab that they're interested in working with and doing that initial outreach to show that interest.
Thank you very much, Natasha.
So there was a question about medical school. Sorry that I didn't answer.
Sure.
Yeah. So for medicine in Canada, we work the same way as the United States, where students have to do 3 to 4 years of university level study first before they can apply to a faculty of medicine in Canada. So there aren't any direct entry programs from high school for students to be admitted directly into a medical school. So at U of T, we do have a faculty of medicine, and for students that are interested in studying medicine, they typically need to do 3 or 4 years of university in pretty much anything. There's nothing specific that students have to study. There's no specific pre-med track that they need to follow for admission to medical school in Canada. So most students will do whatever they're interested in studying, take a couple of science classes. They'll have to write the MCAT, the Medical College Admissions Test, typically for most medical schools in Canada, and then they can apply to medical schools across the country. The one restriction is that international students in Canada, there aren't as many spaces for non-Canadian students in our faculties of medicine across the country. So international students looking at medicine in Canada may find it a little bit more competitive than our domestic population that's looking at admission. And that's partly due to the way our universities are funded, where we have to have the majority of our spots for Canadian or domestic students looking to study medicine. Students that are coming to U of T and to universities across Canada for medicine typically will apply to Canadian universities and also apply to universities in the US, universities in the Caribbean, for example, for medical school. And that's, again, one of the features of that degree portability for U of T is that you can do that. You can apply to medical school outside of Canada if you're interested in studying medicine.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you very much. Is there aerospace engineering program? I think there is, right?
Yes, so that's one of the specialties that we offer within engineering science. Again, that's a highly research intensive engineering program. We also offer an aerospace engineering opportunity for students within the mechanical engineering program. So what you'll find at U of T is a lot of our general engineering programs, we kind of have kept in the traditional fields of engineering. And then anything that's like new or exciting, like robotics or nano engineering, we build into those traditional engineering fields. So that's where we've built aerospace engineering into the engineering science program, and then also as an option for students in the mechanical engineering program.
Thank you, Natasha. So there are some questions about graduate programs, but Natasha is responsible for undergraduate. We may give you a link for the graduate programs if you like. And job opportunities for graduates of University of Toronto, where do they go after usually? Is it hard? Is it easy to find a job being a University of Toronto graduate? Natasha, what do you think?
Yeah, I would, yes and no. I think it really depends on also the field that a student is interested in studying. We do offer a lot of support for students that are graduating from the university through our career centers. Students can use our career centers as well for up to 2 years after graduation. So if they're looking for work in their final year after graduation, or if they start in a job after graduation and they're not really sure if that's what they want to continue in, they can come back to the university and get that help looking for those career options. One of the nice things as well for students that are coming to university in Canada is that once they complete a university level degree in Canada, they are eligible for something called a postgraduate work permit, which allows them to stay in Canada for up to 3 years after graduation. So if they do have maybe a co-op work term, or maybe they had a summer job with a company and they want to go back to that company after graduation, they can stay in Canada without issue. That postgraduate work permit is not tied to a specific job, so they can change jobs. They can also be looking for work on that postgraduate work permit. So it's definitely easy to stay in Canada, easy to work in Canada as an international student, get that support from our career services across all 3 of our campuses, for sure. And there was a recent survey that came out last year, I believe it was, on global employability, and U of T ranked 15th in the world. And that was a survey of sort of the major multinational companies where they asked, you know, which university graduates do you want to hire? And they put U of T 15th in the world. So definitely a lot of degree portability and flexibility and recognition with the University of Toronto degree.
Thank you, Natasha. And that's the majority of questions. There were some questions about how the University of Toronto helps students with the COVID, and we will send you the link during COVID. So we will send you the link. We sent you, Adam, I think, sent the link previously, viewtogether.ca. You can check the information there. And again, some question about fully funded scholarships, I'm pursuing Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and I'm final year, so can you avail fully funded scholarship?
So we do have those merit-based awards that all students are considered for when they apply to the university. Typically those ones that are merit-based, where there's automatic consideration, they don't cover the cost of a full year of study. The value can be anywhere from a few $1,000s to upwards of $20,000 to $40,000 a year, renewable for 4 years. It really depends on the campus or the faculty that a student is applying to. There is one scholarship that we have that is our fully funded, or the closest thing to a fully funded scholarship at the University of Toronto, which is the Lester B. Pearson International Scholarship. And I'll put a link to that in the chat. This one does require students to be in their final year of high school. It does require a school nomination. So there is an extra step, an application process for this scholarship. And this is something for students at Braemar, for example, you would work with the guidance team at Braemar to be considered for this potential scholarship. And it does require a school nomination. As I said, schools are only allowed to nominate one student, for example, each year. So it is competitive. It is competitive even within the school on who might be the nominee for that year. And it does also require a supplemental application by the student. Now, this scholarship does cover the cost of 4 years of tuition. housing, there's a living stipend, we can cover books as well, but what it doesn't cost is things like flights to Toronto, travel expenses, things like that. But there's more information on the link that I just shared in the chat there.
Okay, guys, it's great discussion. For now, we don't have questions. So I think we will just stay here for a few minutes. If somebody would like to ask anything else, we could be here. And for now, our webinar is over. So thank you, everybody for attending. Thank you, Natasha, for your valuable time. Thank you, Max, for participating. And it's a pleasure to have everybody here. So in fact, if you're interested in going to University of Toronto, and if you are a high school student or you just finished high school, you can always come to Braemar College, get your Ontario Secondary School Diploma, and we will give you all tips, all tricks about the scholarships, about everything you need to know in order to apply for any university. But I also want to underline that University of Toronto is not the easiest school to study at. So University of Toronto is not for everybody, and they are very competitive, but believe me, there are many programs that you could be a good fit in, so you just need to look, and there are many. So there were other questions in the chat that I'm referring to. If somebody asks if it's hard to study in the University of Toronto, yes, from what I heard, and from probably Natasha can confirm of our graduates, it's really hard, but it's totally worth it.
We are definitely an academic institution, and we are definitely not 18th in the world for just any reason. We are an academic institution, and as Tamara said, we're not the best fit for everybody. And I will happily admit that to a student. So if I have a chat with you or with your students, and they're looking at a program or maybe looking for a specific campus experience that we can't offer at U of T, I will be fully upfront with that student and even maybe offer a suggestion for another university in Ontario or another university in Canada as well that may be a best fit. It's only in my best interest for students to come to U of T and be happy at U of T. That's what we want at the university. So I don't want to get a student coming into U of T that ultimately doesn't like their experience at the university.
Yeah, Adam just posted my email. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at tamara@braemarcollege.com. And there have one question regarding Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So is it centrally awarded throughout Canada? Yeah. No, it's only in Ontario. It's not for all other provinces. Other provinces have their own diplomas. So if the student successfully finishes the high school in Ontario, they would get Ontario Secondary School Diploma. There are certain requirements to fulfill in order to receive it, certain courses. Thank you.
If I can add just one last thing for the University of Toronto.
Absolutely.
I just changed my name here on the screen to my email address, so feel free to send me an email if you have any specific questions about U of T. And I added a link to a website that we have at U of T called Discover, which is basically Discover University of Toronto. We have a ton of videos on there that students can watch or that you can watch that talk about the application process, that talk about programs or different faculties and things like that. So highly recommend checking out that website for more information about U of T.
Yeah, thank you very much, Natasha. And as Adam corrected me, right, that it recognized Ontario Secondary School Diploma accepted across Canada and also accepted across all over the world. So it's not necessarily Braemar College graduates study only in Canada. They are free to go any other country and study anywhere else in the world. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at tamara@braemarcollege.com.